Designing a unique and effective value proposition requires that you define the problem from the customer's perspective. The value proposition canvas can help you do that. By systematically testing your assumptions here on the right-hand side of the canvas, you will be in effect defining and validating the customer problem. Now, design thinking is an excellent approach to help you define the problem effectively. The first and most important step in design thinking is to practice empathy. Empathy means putting yourself in the customer's shoes and seeking to understand in detail their experience from their perspective. By developing this level of insight and understanding into the customer's perspective, you will be able to then design a solution that addresses their most important concerns. Now, again, the place to start is with the customer and the job they're trying to be done. There are often multiple customer roles, the end user, the decision maker, the influencer, etc. So we have to have those multiple customer roles or stakeholders in mind and understand what each of them is trying to achieve in terms of job or goals. What are they actually doing now? And it's really important to have them walk you through how they tackle that problem today. What steps do they take? What tools do they use? That's how they actually do it. But sometimes they may be trying to do something that's even more than they can do today. So what are they trying to get done? What's missing for them in the current solution that would actually be really helpful and help them achieve what they really want to achieve? And is there a better way? Can they articulate different things, different ways that they would like to be able to solve this problem? Can you see other alternatives? Do you notice that they're taking 3 steps when in fact there might be a way to take 1 step in their workflow process? So understanding how they get it done today is the starting point. And again, you want to really listen for their functional, social, and emotional needs. Not only what are the technical requirements that must functionally be delivered in terms of cost, performance, quality, reliability, but how do they worry about things? What keeps them awake at night? How can you alleviate worry, frustration, angst about any of the work that they're doing? And then finally, are there social needs? Do they have a desire to connect and collaborate, to be seen by their peers and colleagues in a certain way that your solution may be able to help with? And in this process, you want to try to understand what metrics matter to them and how would they rate their performance today on those metrics. Because your ability to deliver quantified value depends on your ability to show how your solution will deliver more value on the metrics or problems that matter most to them. Now, the real deep dive starts with pains, and this is an inquiry. It's a process of discovery. What do they find too costly about their current approach? Cost is almost always an issue, so that's a good thing to check on. Do they feel like it's too costly? Do they feel like there are performance limitations or barriers? They'd like to be able to perform at a faster rate. They would like to be able to perform at higher resolution or higher quality, but you want to know what it is that's not working well from their perspective that they can actually articulate. A really good technique is to get them to prioritize. Of all the things, if you could change anything you wanted, what would be the top 2 things you would change in your current solution? That way they're helping you prioritize the problems that matter most. And then finally, it's very helpful to ask them, well, if it's not working as well as you'd like, why haven't you changed? What barriers are preventing them from changing? There might be, for example, switching costs. It might be that they've made a capital investment and it seems too expensive to switch. That's important to know. It might be that they feel like, this is the devil I know. I know how to do it today, and if I change, I'm going to have to take time to get trained, and I don't have time. But understanding their barriers to change are also very, very helpful, because that's a pain you're going to have to address in order to get them to purchase. And at the end of the day, as you talk to more and more customers, you want to be able to rank these pains that you're hearing in terms of frequency and intensity. The more often you hear it, and the greater the intensity around it, the more important it is as an opportunity for you to solve. Similarly, gains. Gains are the wants, the delighters that aren't necessarily a problem today, but they sure would be nice if you could address them. So what would customers love to be able to achieve? If they were to dream a little bit, what would they like to be able to do that they can't do today? And is that a functional need? Is that a social need? Or is that an emotional need? But the idea is to get them to tell you a little bit about their wish list, because that might be an opportunity for you to differentiate. And here, as you listen to gains, you want to prioritize them across customers based on their relevance and their impact. Which ones really seem to resonate most across the most customers? Which ones seem to have the greatest impact against the metrics they care most about? Because your goal is to zoom in and identify the most important pains and gains that you can uniquely address. So let's take a quick look at a real-world case. A problem that matters in the world is anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is severe, potentially life-threatening allergies that affects over 16 million Americans today. Now, there's a perfectly good solution called an epinephrine auto-injector that works extremely well. Ironically, though, fewer than 25% of those at risk for anaphylaxis actually carry the device today. So 1/4 of the people who are at risk carry the device. And of that 1/4, less than half carry their device with them at all times. So why is that? We had a student team who noticed this pattern because one of them was working in cafeteria services or catering services, and they started asking why. Why do so few people who have a real exposure not carry the device? Or why do so few carry the device? So they had to ask the question, who are the customers and stakeholders, and what problem is each of these customers or stakeholders trying to solve? So they identified 3 key stakeholders in this situation: the patient, who's the end user, the insurer, who is the payer for any prescription medical device, and the physician, who ultimately recommends to the patient what solution they need. And in terms of jobs to be done, as you can see here, what the patient wants to do is quickly and effectively respond when they have an allergic reaction, and they want to do so cost effectively. By contrast, the insurer cares more about cost. They want to avoid the cost of secondary problems when a severe allergic reaction takes someone into the emergency room or hospital. And the physician wants to be seen as doing his or her job promoting wellness and really preventing any severe health risk for his patients. So that's the job. What are the most important pains and gains for each of these? Well, for the end user, the patient, they want a more cost-effective solution first. And then they want it to be more convenient. That EpiPen that you saw is a pretty big tube that is pretty clunky to carry around. It doesn't fit in your pocket. It might fit if you carry a fairly large purse, but it's not easy to carry around. So that's the first drawback. And secondly, the EpiPen looks like a prescription on a bottle. And there's a sense, customers have a sense of social stigma associated with it. I don't want to have this pen sticking out of my pocket or purse that causes people to say, "What's going on? Are you sick?" That was a real emotional need that they found, or an emotional pain for end users. On the gain side, they'd like it to be more affordable, easier to carry, and they'd like it to be discreet. I don't want people noticing that I have medication. And if possible, real gain would be make it kind of cool. Don't make it look like a prescription medicine. For the insurer, they really want to avoid the high cost of reimbursement and avoid the situations where people don't get immediate care and they end up in the emergency room or the hospital. And the physician wants to avoid that failure to comply. They're making many prescriptions and very few people are complying and getting that prescription. So they want people to take advantage of the medicine they know works, and they want to have confidence in the patient's wellness. So after discovering this, our 2 students, Ty Ebert and Chris Kuhn, developed a prototype solution. They iterated that prototype solution a few times, and they now have Adrenacard as their new venture. And you can see here this wonderful device that looks more like a credit card. It's actually about the thickness of 3 or 4 credit cards. But what they found in going back out with customers is that customers say, this is discreet. It doesn't look like a prescription medicine. It fits easily into my pocket or into my purse or even into the jacket on my cell phone. So it starts to address their pains and desired gains in a more effective way, even though functionally the epinephrine is no more effective in this device than the other. The goal for them is to tap into all of those customers at risk who aren't currently carrying a device. And their ultimate marketing proposition now, or value prop, is ensuring peace of mind for severe allergy sufferers. So at the end of the day, it's knowing that you won't have a serious problem. So bottom line, successful innovators begin with the end in mind. They practice design thinking to put themselves in their customer's shoes, and they define the problem that matters from the customer perspective.